On my wedding day, my bride ran off with her thug ex who bullied her for 3 years. 10 motorbikes blocked our wedding car, and all he did was wave at her. So, the girl I'd protected for 10 years ditched the bouquet and jumped into someone else's arms. I begged her to stay, but until my last breath, all that lingered in my ears was her final remark. "Eric, you're disgusting." But what she didn't know was, I'm dying, and her beloved ex will make her regret it forever. In the noisy KTV, I reluctantly pushed aside the drinks shoved at me and stepped outside to make a call. Tomorrow was supposed to be my wedding day with Tina, and everyone knew I was head over heels for her. Because she once said she didn't like it, I hadn't had a single female contact in my phone for 10 years. She'd been bullied in high school, so I was especially attentive to her feelings. Once, when I worked late, she locked me out and I slept at the door all night. I understood her little tantrums were because she loved me, so I accepted them all. Today, she insisted on a bachelorette party, and almost everyone we knew showed up. But Tina, the star of the party, was nowhere to be seen. This was the 10th time I was calling Tina. For some reason, unease crept into my mind. "Eric, why isn't your fiancée here yet?" A few buddies came over to ask, and I just said Tina wasn't feeling well. "She's not gonna bail, is she? Maybe she wanted some last night thrill and found something else fun to do." The jokes turned nastier and crossed a line. "Watch your mouth." I grabbed one guy's collar. The alcohol made him oblivious to my anger. "Dude, relax. We're just afraid she'll hurt you." The chick was with Ben in high school. My fist landed on his right cheek, and the chaos stopped instantly as he started coming around. "You hit me? Ask anyone. Everyone knows she was trashy before. Except you. A sucker for a rebound." My eyes burned with rage, but just as I was about to drive my fist into his face again, my phone vibrated. I released him immediately to check, and seeing the sender's name froze me. "Hey, I heard you're getting married tomorrow?" It was a message from Ben, with a photo attached. A woman with a flushed face, asleep in Ben's arms. It was my bride, Tina. When dawn broke, Tina came home. Perhaps thinking I was still asleep, she tiptoed into the bedroom, only to find me in a white suit, standing at the window, looking at her silhouette. "I waited for you a long time last night. Oh, a friend had an emergency." I turned and met Tina's eyes. She shifted hers away, lifting her collar awkwardly. "You're still in touch with Ben?" I laughed bitterly, loosening my tie, and looked at her, my eyes filled with fatigue. Over the years, I'd gotten numerous messages from Ben, and I knew they were still in touch. Never did I think she couldn't even let go of her fling the night before our wedding. "Eric, are you crazy? I had things to do yesterday, and I didn't accuse you of cheating. What's your deal?" Tina frowned and threw her jacket at me. My phone was practically handed to her daily for inspection, yet she blew up at me for asking one question. A friend's emergency. She used that excuse countless times over the years. She left the engagement party early and bailed on meeting my parents at the last minute. My matters were never important enough for her attention. I never guessed her friend was the bully. Ben. "Tina, there's a question I've wanted to ask since high school. Do you even like me?" I asked, my heart sinking, and Tina's face froze, followed by a sharp slap across my cheek. I whipped around, and with the movement, her collar slipped, revealing blatant marks. But completely unaware, Tina continued her assault, berating me harshly. "Eric, do you know how much I despise your pathetic act? You make it seem like the whole world did you wrong." My heart clenched in pain as I struggled to breathe, cold sweat dripping down my back. Yet Tina remained indifferent, her words piercing me. "Every time we argue, you act like you're on death's door. You're not dead, are you? If you actually died, maybe I'd spare you a glance." The cold words from the one I loved hurt worse than 1,000 cuts. Despite all I'd been through in business, this was the first time words truly wounded me. "If you hate me so much, why are you with me?" My head pounded, and I could barely speak. "If Ben hadn't dumped me, you think I'd be with you?" My legs gave out and I crumpled to the ground. Tina huffed and walked out of the room. I loved the wrong person, entrusted my heart to the wrong hands. As sunlight danced on the engagement ring, I let out a hollow laugh. Not long after the engagement party, Tina and I took a premarital health exam. I've been busy working all these years, trying to give her a better life, but I had noticed something was off. My heart often ached, and I found it hard to breathe. When the results came, I couldn't accept them. All I could do was take medicine to slow it down. I never told Tina any of this, instead taking on even more work. Death scared me, but leaving Tina alone scared me more. If I died, Tina, as my wife, would naturally inherit my assets. She could have lived the rest of her life without worries. But Tina ultimately couldn't handle all that wealth. Although my relationship with Tina is on the brink of ending, the wedding must go on. Eric, feelings are our own matter. I can choose to let go of everything from before and forgive you. My parents are getting old now, and I just want them to see me get married and live a stable life. Tina's expression softened a lot. She still didn't notice my pale cheeks, just started talking about her struggles. After we get married, I'll do my best to live with you. You still love me, right? Tina, I just wish you would say something truthful. Tina let out a cold laugh and stopped talking. I held Tina's hand as we got in the car. The pain in my heart wouldn't allow me to feel too much emotion, but I was stuck in a whirlpool of agony. I couldn't lie to myself, even if Tina hurt me again and again. But love is not something you can just let go. I decided to believe in Tina one last time, gambling with my fragile body. The car was speeding, and Tina kept reminding me to slow down. But I couldn't hear anything. I was too scared. Scared that our 10-year relationship would end. Scared that one more second might mean a missed chance with Tina forever. At the last red light, when I was about to go through, it started flashing and then settled on a blinding red. Why are you in such a rush? I ignored Tina's dissatisfaction and kept my eyes fixed on the traffic light. When it turned green, I floored the accelerator. Screech. The sound of tires skidding on asphalt echoed loudly. My forehead slammed into the steering wheel, and I still couldn't believe what I'd just seen. When I looked up, 10 motorcycles surrounded the car. Ben took off his helmet, slowly raised his arm, and waved to Tina beside me. Ben. Tina called out with a bit of excitement, then coldly laughed at me. The look in my eyes turned from pleading to something almost threatening. I'm sorry. Tina shrugged off my grip with disgust and got out. I couldn't understand how I was feeling. It seemed as if I lost the instinct to keep my heart beating. A sharp pain overwhelmed my heart. It felt like I lost the ability to breathe. Tina left me once again. I unclasped my seatbelt, struggled to get out of the car, and fell to my knees. Tina nestled in Ben's arms, gazing at him with a longing she never showed me. Even though Ben bullied her in high school to the point of wanting to end her life. Even though it was me who saved her from the mire repeatedly. Seeing me kneeling, Tina hesitated for a moment. But Ben domineeringly wrapped his arm around her shoulders, cutting off her last moment of doubt. Eric, maybe this is destiny. Tina took a deep breath and shattered my hope with a calm tone. We were never meant to be. Now that I've met the right person, let's not keep tangling with each other. My heart throbbed with pain that seemed to transcend physical bounds. All I could do was keep begging Tina, pleading with her to come with me, to save me. Tina, you can't leave. What right do you have to leave? My emotions swung between anger and pleading, driving me near madness. Until she said, Eric, you're disgusting. In the minute I was dazed, Tina had already gotten on Ben's motorcycle. The exhaust spit out choking smoke, making it even harder for me to breathe. Suddenly, for a moment, I was clear-headed. Before getting in the car, I'd asked Tina to put on her wedding dress. Even without makeup, she still looked pure and beautiful like freshly fallen snow. My affection always found her beautiful. Felt like returning to that summer 10 years ago. I was so broke, hadn't eaten much in 3 days, and could only watch others eat buns with envy. At that time, Tina and I were just classmates who had never spoken to each other. Her ponytail swayed in the breeze, and the warm bun in her hand seemed to melt the whole summer. I accepted that bag of buns, swallowing down my bitter crush. I shielded her from Ben's fierce fists, getting up an hour early each day to pick her up for school. But on the night after graduation, I saw Tina and Ben embracing. How did we get here? I stood by your side for 10 years. From today on, we owe each other nothing. Before leaving, as she watched me crying and contorted on the ground, Tina sighed and took back the harsh words she almost said. In the last second my heart stopped. I remained motionless like a beached fish, unable to react. So this is what you mean by nothing owed. Tina's 10 years were youth, but what about my 10 years? Those who are loved have nothing to fear. Can they just step on someone's true heart? My death caught everyone by surprise. A sudden death of a groom on his wedding day and a missing bride. It's bizarre to anyone. For some reason, as soon as I died, my spirit left my body. Watching the arriving ambulance and concerned relatives, I felt nothing. I was a child who was trafficked. My early life was full of hardships, and only Tina gave me warmth. Now that I'm dead, it's like these vultures have a reason to pounce on my inheritance. I have no concern for worldly possessions. I just want to ask Tina why. What do 10 years mean to her? And what do they mean to me? Ben's motorcycle sped away, with Tina tightly clutching his waist. I noticed Tina was shaking. I used to drive slowly because Tina was terrified of speed. Yet now she seemed like a willow ready to snap in the wind. Her gown dragged along the road, fraying and losing its initial luster. But Tina didn't care about any of it. Every second with Ben made her lower her dignity and boundaries. Or maybe she simply had a harsher standard for me. Ben, could you slow down a bit? Tina yelled, her voice mixed with the ease of newfound freedom. All right, I'll do whatever you say, sweetheart. Ben smiled ingratiatingly. Nothing like the mean guy he used to be in school. Ben, I'm so glad you came to see me. If it wasn't for you, I'd probably be stuck with Eric forever. Tina whispered softly into Ben's back. Ben, you're the best for me. Ben, enjoying the flattery, turned slightly to tease her. What did you say? Couldn't hear you. I said, I love you. Tina cupped her hands around her mouth and shouted, laughter in her eyes. She looked like a 17-year-old girl smitten with a ghostly crush. When she was with me, Tina always seemed lifeless. But with Ben, she was a bundle of teenage nerves. Life's like a soap opera, full of messy drama. Caught up in the moment with the guys. Ben didn't notice the big truck speeding towards them. Watching Tina, so wrapped up in happiness, I felt like warning her. Not for any noble reason, just that if she died now, it'd mess up my reincarnation route. A loud crash echoed in the sky. I sighed, opened my eyes, and saw the truck pass right through my ghostly form, still charging forward. Lowering my arms, I turned back to the motorcycle. Blood flowed, soaking and spreading. Following the lines of her wedding dress, it spelled out a single word: karma. Tina was always sickly. Being with me didn't change that. I skipped classes and worked to care for her. But Ben was the reason she often got sick. Back in high school, he used to splash her with cold water during her period and put glue on her chair. On our 10th anniversary, Tina was hospitalized with a high fever. After watching over her for 3 nights, the first thing she did upon waking was go looking for Ben. I heard he ran into some trouble. I need to check on him. I never questioned or stopped her, just couldn't believe it. Why do people keep falling for those who bully them? Maybe love has no answers, just like my past with Tina. Snapping out of the memories, I watched Tina lying in bed, crying. When the truck hit, Ben instinctively changed direction, sending them into the bushes. Ben stayed true to form, cowardly as ever. When the bike dropped heavily, Ben landed on Tina, and a metal shard pierced her thigh. Tina, always so concerned about her looks, now had a long scar down the left side of her face. Compared to that, Ben was barely touched, probably just lost a few hairs. Nurse, has my boyfriend come by? It took several days for Tina to muster the strength to speak. She asked this question many times each day, but the nurse just shook her head. Watching Tina's hopeful eyes turn empty and tearful was tough. I sat by her bed, watching her stare at her phone. On the 27th call to Ben, he finally answered. Tina, why all the calls? You need to rest when you're sick. The noise of a mahjong game was loud, and Tina had to strain to hear Ben's voice. Ben, I'm in so much pain. Can you come be with me? Tina choked back tears, But Ben didn't care about her near breaking point. I'm busy with work. Take care of yourself. I'll visit when I get a chance. Okay? Cheers erupted from the other end before Ben hung up abruptly. The room was quiet again, just me and Tina. Ben, you promised to treat me well forever. Tina wiped her tears, her gaze like a dying star fixed on the window. When I'm gone, no one will ask if she's hurting, just endless indifference and reproach. Her tears of pain couldn't relieve my spite. I've lived a life too short, without seeing the ocean even once. So many regrets tied to Tina. But it was all just my wishful thinking. I didn't want to hear Tina's sobbing anymore. I decided to use my last moments to look at the world once more, even in spirit form. As I was about to leave the room, Tina's scream stopped me. Answer the phone. Why won't you pick up my calls? I saw her pressing the phone in anger, clawing at her hair. She kept redialing, but never got through. Finally, a sound came from the other side, and I saw relief wash over Tina. Then her voice, laced with tears and blame. Eric, where are you? Why didn't you pick up? I sighed with a bitter smile, realizing she only remembered me when she hit rock bottom. Too bad I was dead. No tantrum would bring me back to comfort her again. Eric, say something. Tina put her phone on speaker. I heard chaos on the other end. No reply. It must have been a relative who picked up my phone, taking her call. Tina was tortured by the silence, finally crashing to the floor. She was at her breaking point, switching between agony and frustration. In a harsh tone, she called out, Eric, what's with this silent treatment? Even if you're dead, answer my call. The world seemed to freeze. I watched her anger with a mocking expression. After a while, a response finally came through. Tina's face lit up with joy, but then it was a stranger's voice. Eric is dead. I recognized it as my uncle's voice, calmly recounting my death without emotion. Time stopped again. Tina's cold laugh broke the silence. Trying this sick trick to fool me? If you don't want to come, don't bother. He better truly be dead, she said, holding back her bitterness, addressing my uncle. Tell Eric, if he wants to fake his death, he should never bother me again. I shook my head with a sad smile, baffled by Tina's hate. My uncle then mentioned the exact time and details of my death. Tina's rage faded into disbelief. Impossible. Tina threw her phone at the wall. She couldn't take the constant stress anymore and started screaming hysterically. A few nurses and doctors rushed in from outside the hospital room and helped Tina back to the bed. In her struggle, blood gushed from her thigh. But she seemed unfazed by the physical pain, only pounding on her chest. I looked at the unconscious Tina, slightly amused. Do people who've betrayed someone's true feelings actually feel heartache too? In the end, I never got to see the ocean. I realized that the longer I'm away from Tina, the more my soul fades away. Honestly, I didn't think dying would leave me feeling stuck. It's frustrating. During the entire month Tina's been in the hospital, besides our mutual friends, almost no one visited her. Let alone Ben. Do you even know how much Eric loved you? Seriously, what makes you so special? Someone like you should end up alone and not go around ruining other people's lives. I watched my friend Mike, face red with anger, and couldn't help but feel a bit uneasy. Mike became my best friend after I started working. He used to urge me to break up with Tina. When I got sick, Mike was the one who took care of me in the hospital. Tina never knew about my illness, because every time I fell sick, she was busy being sweet with Ben. I call her when I felt terrible, but she never picked up. Just like my patience and sadness, Tina remained oblivious. She never worried about me disappearing or cared about my weight loss. How many days haven't you been home? Where have you been messing around? One day you'll die out there, and no one will even know. Tina trusted I'd always come home, but doubted my loyalty to her. In the end, she loved no one but herself. Watching Mike's reddening eyes and the silent Tina was just even more ironic. What was I thinking, treating trash like treasure? I don't know. After a long silence, Tina finally muttered something that almost set Mike off. He's not really dead. You all teamed up to trick me. Tina started throwing and smashing everything within reach. You never deserved Eric's love. For the rest of the time, it was Mike doing most of the talking, while Tina just sat there with a dark expression. God knows what she was thinking. In 7 days, it'll be Eric's funeral. If you dare, show up and see for yourself if he's really dead. Mike threw out those words and stormed out, slamming the door. I sighed at his furious expression. Tina always had this way of driving people crazy without saying much. The day Tina got discharged was my funeral. I was curious if she'd show up. She stood at the hospital entrance for a long time before limping towards home. I let out a bitter laugh. After all these years with Tina, it would have been better to have raised a dog. At least a dog shows loyalty. The sun was scorching today. Even though I can't feel warmth or cold anymore, the sunlight was still blinding. Tina walked for ages. I mischievously yawned while leaning on her back, making her steps even heavier. Feeling her pause and hearing her labored breathing, I slowly came to. The house was just as we left it that day. Tina stood at the door, hesitating for a while, doing nothing. Not wanting to deal with her, I drifted back to the bedroom. It wasn't until I heard the sound of glass breaking from the living room that I panicked and rushed to see what happened. Tina was standing barefoot amidst shattered porcelain, her eyes blazing with anger. Everyone's lying to me. Not a single person told the truth. In the empty house, she roared like an enraged beast. No one responded to her, so she got even more frantic, cursing out loud while searching for something. You owe me so much. There's no way you're dead. How dare you? Blood from Tina's feet left a trail on the floor, making her look like a ghost from hell. A notebook fell out of a drawer, and Tina froze for a second before picking it up to read. It was Tina's high school diary. In our sophomore year, Tina and I were put into different classes. Tina stayed with Ben, and I moved to a class on the top floor. Our desks became 3 floors apart overnight. One afternoon, I found a diary with a blue cover. The name on the first page was Tina's. At first, I just wondered how to return it. But gradually, it became a way to express my secret crush. I'd go out of my way to her favorite food stalls or the big tree she once sat under. When I learned she was often bullied, I calculated her leaving time to walk her to school. But she never knew any of this. We shared the same blue sky, but carried different burdens. The diary ended with Tina's last words. I like you. Only now do I truly understand who that you might have been. Then, my love over the next 10 years stayed hidden in tiny, blood-stained words. July 15th, 2004. Ben's planning to block Tina again tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, I'll wake up an hour early to walk her to school. September 4th, 2004. Only I know how much Ben's punches hurt. Tina's head should only be filled with dreams and words. Nothing else. June 9th, 2005. The college entrance exams are over. I want to confess to Tina. But why is she hugging Ben? October 17th, 2005. Today is Tina's birthday. I just stayed outside the KTV to catch a glimpse. She looked gorgeous today. I hope she'll always be this happy. November 2nd, 2008. I ran into Tina. I wonder if she remembers me? The journal stopped at the day I reunited with Tina. After that, it was just my decade-long pursuit of her. Reading these words now filled me with sorrow and some sort of cynical amusement. Why you? I was lost in my own sadness when I heard Tina, voice trembling, mumble to herself. She seemed to be processing a massive deception, enough to shake her understanding of the world. In that moment, I felt like I could guess something. Dragging her wounded body, Tina rushed to Ben's house. Ben hadn't given her a key, so she had to wait outside. I followed her, feeling a bit uneasy. After a long pause, the door swung open, and there stood a woman I'd never seen before. Ben. The woman had a sly smile, and when she saw the pissed-off look on Tina's face, she seemed to understand everything and called loudly for Ben. Tina, what are you doing here? Ben still played the nice guy, but Tina wasn't having it. She threw a notebook in his face. What the hell is your problem? Ben seemed a bit pissed, but when he saw what was inside the notebook, he burst out laughing. What's so funny? Aren't you gonna explain this? Tina's chest was heaving, eyes filled with rage. I'm laughing at how dumb you are. My silly Tina. It's ancient history. What's there to explain? Ben ripped the notebook in half, and Tina scrambled to grab it back. Ben, you lied to me for 10 years. You were the one bullying me, not Eric. Why? Tina gripped her arm, trying not to cry in front of Ben. Memories started flooding back. What did I lie about? I just pointed out that someone had been following you. You happened to see Eric that day. You misunderstood. What's that got to do with me? It hit me that Ben never directly bullied Tina. He got others to do it. He'd swoop in afterward, pretending to play the hero. If I hadn't overheard Ben's plan, I might have thought he was a stand-up guy too. Ben seemed to enjoy recounting the story. I looked at Tina, who was pale and shaking with anger. Oh, you didn't know, did you? Not only wasn't it him bullying you, but he was the one protecting you all along. Got into so many fights because of you during high school. But you were too dumb to see it and thought I was the good guy. I didn't expect you'd marry him for revenge. You're something else. I suddenly remembered that snowy year when Tina was drunk and found me waiting at the alley for her. You're still the one I love most. You'll always protect me like before, right? That day she kissed me first. I thought she knew the truth back then. Turns out she was just drunk and thought I was someone else. Heavy rain poured down, finally clearing up years of misunderstanding. I saw Ben lean over and whisper to Tina, "You're the one who got him killed." Ben's laughter grew louder, and I swung my fist at him, but it passed right through. I watched Tina, who was frantically hitting Ben. We were the closest two could be, and yet we missed our chance because of a stupid misunderstanding. No wonder Tina looked at me with such disgust when we reunited. No wonder 10 years of trying wasn't enough to reach her heart. She never knew. To her, I was already dead. No amount of love could build a bridge to her. A train going the wrong way can't reach its destination. How could we meet? But it was never supposed to be like this. Lately, Tina's been waking up from nightmares every night. I lay by her bedside, tears falling through my hand and soaking the pillow. I don't know if I'm imagining it, but I often smell something rotten on her. She rarely leaves, barely talks to anyone. Except for me, the one who keeps her company without her knowing. When Tina's asleep, it takes me back to the days I walked her to school. Her ponytail shining in the sun, I followed her footsteps through the seasons. She never knew of my presence back then, and she still doesn't now. I'm truly her shadow now. One day, Tina woke up suddenly from a dream. Our eyes met for just a moment. "I'm sorry." She started crying, her gaze fixed in my direction. Then she picked up her phone and made one last call. Fireworks lit up the rooftop, like something out of a dream. Tina brushed her hand against the wall, her eyes full of longing. I glanced at where her hand rested. Tina is everything. Underneath those bold, wild letters hid the deepest confession. I wrote it in freshman year. No idea when more words were added. As we've graduated and grown older, someone else is now young. "So, you're here early?" Ben's voice shattered the silence. Tina snapped out of her daze and stood up. "You said you got Eric's inheritance?" Tina nodded, and greed flashed in Ben's eyes. "Yeah, like you said on the phone, we split it 50-50, and I won't bother you again. If not, watch out, murderer." I looked at Tina, unsure of what she was planning. "You can have the money, but I need to ask you something." Tina leaned against the railing, the wind tousling her hair from her thin face. Ben sighed impatiently. Did Eric know about any of this? Tina's voice was trembling when she asked. Ben just looked annoyed, spitting on the ground. "All he ever did was chase after you. If he knew, he wouldn't have gotten himself killed. I regretted dying too soon. I should have pummeled Ben good." Ben kept talking, trying to dump all the guilt on Tina. "Second question, how did he die? His family won't take my calls." Tina choked out the words after struggling for a while. Ben chuckled, like it was the funniest thing he'd ever heard, and finally caught his breath. "Heart attack. Guess you pissed him to death." I felt embarrassed by that cause. Should have just driven back and run them all over instead. With the three of us, two alive, one ghost, one gasping for air, one annoyed at my death, Tina just stood there silent, head down. "I'm done asking questions. The money's in the bag." Tina pulled out a big bag from behind the iron gate, and Ben's eyes lit up as he rushed over. This guy sure is worth a fortune in his death. Ben rubbed his hands together excitedly and opened the bag, but instead, dozens of colorful butterflies flew out. Watching them soar for a few seconds before settling, I realized something. Those were the plastic butterflies I secretly placed in Tina's desk for her 17th birthday. I made 100 of them, wishing her a long life. Looking back now, it seems kind of funny. Are you playing me? Ben finally turned around after a few seconds of stunned realization. The moment he spun back, Tina, who had been waiting, stabbed a dagger into his heart. You. Ben's eyes widened, but they were blocked by a mouthful of blood. Tina quickly withdrew the dagger and plunged it into Ben's throat, slicing downwards. It's all over. As she let go, Ben couldn't help but fall back. Tina's face was spattered with blood, and she let out a few wretched sobs from her throat. The image of her in my memory became increasingly blurry. Watching Ben take his last breath, Tina called the police. She stared at the words on the wall for a long time, quietly repeating to herself, "Tina is the rest of my life." Finally, she pulled out the dagger still embedded in Ben's body and slashed her own palm. Blood is the most beautiful paint in the world. As if numb to pain, Tina rubbed the words on the wall with her hand until the words "the rest of my life" were entirely covered in blood. Someone like me never deserved to spend a lifetime with you. She paused, looked around, and her eyes landed in the corner. Our eyes met once again. A gust of wind passed, and Tina suddenly laughed, almost as if relieved, her blood-stained palm rubbing against her cheek, blending with her tears. Tell me, was there ever a moment we loved each other? After being with you for so many years, I've often been scared. Afraid I'd truly fall for you. Afraid I'd forget the pain of being bullied in the past. Fate brought us together, but left us with a chasm we could never cross. If only I'd realized earlier, would things have turned out differently? Before she finished speaking, the sound of sirens became clearer. There are too many regrets in this life. If there's a next life, I won't bother you again. Footsteps descended in the stairwell, and Tina stopped talking. As she stood on the platform and looked at the bustling crowd below, Tina sighed and stepped back. She picked up the blood-drenched dagger at her feet. The moment the police burst in with guns drawn, Tina slashed her neck's artery with the dagger. I instinctively tried to rush over to stop her but ended up grabbing empty air. Vivid red blood passed through me, and for a moment, I felt warmth again. Her blood was like lava, burning my hollow heart. After Tina was carried onto a stretcher, I saw her limp wrist hanging down. On her right hand's ring finger, the diamonds sparkled like last night's stars. Tina, a talented medical student from a prestigious university, acted swiftly and decisively. Before they made it to the hospital, both she and Ben stopped breathing, and I softly watched her being wheeled into the morgue. Looking down at my palms, the edges of my fingers blurred. Perhaps my obsession had dispersed, and it's time to go. In the end, I never truly lived for myself. But do I still hate Tina? She loved the wrong person, was betrayed, and died with hatred. I did everything to show her my love, but I never confessed. We were both wrong, yet we both weren't. Ben's lie destroyed us all, including himself. Revenge never ends well. Eventually, people must pay for the lies they casually utter in their youth with their lives. With my last shred of spirit, I went to where we first met. The saplings from back then have grown into towering trees. Through the gaps in the leaves, I could almost smell the warmth of sunlight. As the familiar school bell rang, a girl's joyful hair swept away the morning dew, and a boy's pristine shirt fluttered in the breeze. Our youth ended messily, but all that was beautiful still lingers in this world. If there's another life, I just want to be a breeze, carrying away the worries of youth and dispersing the sorrows of adulthood. This world, it will always be beautiful.